என்னுடைய பேர் ராஜா. நான் வந்து இலங்கையில் திருகோணமலை என்ற இடத்துல தான் பிறந்தேன். எங்களுக்கு வர 18 நாள் முடிஞ்சது. அதில் 5 நாள் நாங்கள் கடலில் கப்பல் பழுதாகி 5 நாள் கடலில் நிற்க வேண்டியிருந்தது. நாங்கள் உண்மையில் வந்து சேருவோம்னு நினைக்கையில் சில இடங்களில் என்னென்னே தெரியலை எங்களுக்கு. நாங்கள் வருவோமா வரமாட்டோம்ன்றது கேள்விக்குறியாக தான் இருந்தது. ஆனால் வந்து சேர்ந்துட்டோம்.
It is a story shared by thousands of Tamils across the world. Setting sail aboard small wooden boats in search of hope. It has been 2 years since the Sri Lankan government wiped out the Tamil Tigers, bringing an end to 30 years of ethnic conflict. Supporters continue their victory march. It is Tamils who remain haunted by the cost of peace. Over 40,000 civilians were said to have been slaughtered during the final stages of war. Innocent men, women and children caught between bombs and bullets. The finger of blame pointed at both sides. For those lucky enough to have escaped the carnage, the outside world provides a new beginning.
ஆஸ்திரேலியாவுக்கு நாங்கள் வந்ததும் ஆஸ்திரேலியாவில் எங்களுக்கு ஒரு எந்த நேரமும் பயமில்லாமைக்கு தெரியலாம். எங்களுக்கு அந்த சுதந்திரம் இங்கே இருக்குது. உண்மையில் ஒரு சுதந்திரம் என்றால் எப்படி இருக்கணும்ன்றது நான் நினைக்கிறேன். நான் ஆஸ்திரேலியாவில் வந்து அதை உணர்ந்திருக்கிறேன். உண்மையான சுதந்திர காற்று நான் இங்கே தான் சுவாசிக்கிறேன்னு சொல்லலாம்.
Yet as the boats continue to trickle in, hundreds of others like Raja face a terrifying prospect.
The government is implementing an immediate suspension on the processing of all new applications from asylum seekers from Sri Lanka and Afghanistan.
Over 800 Tamil asylum seekers scattered across Australia now risk being sent back into the hands of a government that has been accused of murdering its own citizens.
Changing circumstances in both these countries will make it more likely that visa applications will be refused.
The Australian government believes it is now safe to return refugees to Sri Lanka. At Sydney's Gaelic Hotel tonight, however, it is clear not everyone agrees with the government. Speaking tonight is Gordon Weiss, the former UN spokesperson in Sri Lanka, who was asked to leave the country after criticising the government for its conduct during the war.
I believe that there were major crimes committed against civilians in Sri Lanka towards the end of the war. But I also situate what happened in 2009 within the larger tragedy of post-independence Sri Lanka.
Weiss has returned to Australia and is on a mission to reveal the truth about what happened in Sri Lanka.
Well, I was in some contact with the Tamil doctors, as many people were who were inside the war zone, and the plea was that they were dealing with overwhelming numbers of casualties. We had our own staff at some stage, international staff members, who also endured a period of bombardment there and in fact witnessed the killing of civilians during that period of bombardment.
2 years since the last shot was fired, Weiss believes the truth remains buried deep in the sand, unknown to all except those in power.
Because the design of the war was such that the truth should be hidden. There were very few international humanitarian staff who had access to the critical period, which was the first 5 months of 2009. So the only people who were witness to the war zone were the victims themselves and the army of Sri Lanka.
And it is the unknown that remains the most terrifying prospect for Tamils, forced to return to Sri Lanka.
We don't really know what happens to those people when they go back. What we do know is that there is a long history and a very deep history, particularly in the last 5 years, of Tamils disappearing through the activities of the death squads in Sri Lanka.
Freedom! Freedom! Freedom!
As the government ramps up its efforts to send back Tamil refugees, Advocates have been equally vocal in their condemnation of the move.
You know, the United Nations says that, you know, this was a genocide in Sri Lanka against the Tamil people, and yet Tamils fleeing there, trying to come to Australia and elsewhere to be resettled, countries aren't helping them.
As refugee advocates fight the Australian government on the ground, charities like Patchworks, set up by Tamil youth in Australia to provide aid for people with disabilities, remain fixed across the ocean to a place they once called home.
I think it's hard for people in Australia to understand the difficulties of war and the struggles that these people have been through. And so nobody leaves their homeland by choice. You only leave if you have a situation at home which forces you to leave. And so when people are coming here through all these desperate measures, then you have to understand that there's a reason that's driving them to this desperation.
Despite the demise of the Tamil Tigers, the concept of a Tamil homeland still remains a desire that burns at the heart of many Tamils.
I think Tamilism exists in this room. So when a group of people like this are able to congregate and we can present our culture and our people to the world, then that's exactly the same unit that we're trying to establish in the northeast of Sri Lanka, and that is Tamilism.
Yet to a generation decimated by the horrors of war, the soul of the land and its people died long ago, and all that remains now are reminders of what once was.
நிறைய விஷயத்தை அங்கிருந்து வந்ததாலேயும் இழந்திருக்கிறோம். நாட்டை விட்டு வெளியேறினாலேயும் இழந்திருக்கிறோம். என்னென்னு சொன்னால் எங்களுடைய நண்பர்கள் நிறைய தொடர்பு, நாங்கள் வளர்த்து கொண்ட சில விஷயங்கள் எல்லாமே நாங்கள் கைவிட்டு ஒரு வந்த நிலைமை தான் இருக்குது. ஆனால் அதை நினைத்து நான் ஆனாலும் என்னால் திருப்பி நாட்டுக்கு போகக்கூடிய சூழல் இல்லை.